What's up guys, GRC here, and today I'm doing a comparison between the G-Wolves Skoll and the newly released glorious Model D. If you're in a rush and you just want the TLDW, my recommendation is the Model D. It's so good it could take the top spot as my new personal number one. I do still need to compare performance with the G-Wolves G302 however, my current number one. As always, timestamps will be in the comments section below in case you want to skip around. Anyway, enough jibber jabber. Let's get into it. First up is shape and shell, and this is always the most subjective part about any mouse review, but in my opinion, the clear winner here is the Model D. For starters, the D contains a small yet important design element that's absent from the Skoll. On the Skoll, you have the honeycomb shell pattern extending all the way to the sides of the mouse. While on the Model D, there are solid sheets of plastic. This makes the Model D just feel nicer in the hand and not like you're holding onto a cheese grater. I also just flat out prefer the shape of the D compared to the Skoll, which is why I was surprised to learn how close their dimensions were to each other. I think the key difference here is that 2.5mm in grip width. My ideal grip width is around 60mm, so it makes sense that the D is a better fit for me. As I said in the beginning of this segment, shape is going to be the most subjective part of this video, so try and figure out which one you think will fit your hand better. If you're looking for tips on how to find your endgame mouse, I did a video on that which I'll link in the top right corner if you want to check that out. Overall, both shells feel solid and well constructed. I don't have any real complaints about build quality. It is worth mentioning though that I was able to activate the side buttons on both mice just by pressing firmly on the shell below them. I never had any accidental button activations while gaming though, so I don't expect this to be an issue for anyone, unless you hold onto your mouse for dear life while gaming. The button grooves on mouse 1 and 2 are also a bit deeper on the D, which leads me to the next segment. Buttons are close, but again, I'm giving the edge to the Model D. Mouse 1 and 2 feel just slightly more crisp to me, and like they have less post travel. I think they're also starting off with an advantage because they're separated from the shell as opposed to the Skolls. The side buttons are also just barely better on the Model D. They're larger and stick out a bit more, which I like because they're easier to press, for my thumb anyway. Here's a quick sound test so you can get a feel for them. When it comes to scroll wheel, I would give the edge to the Skoll. Its steps are a bit more well defined, making it better for gaming. The D's scroll wheel is however a bit better for browsing. Overall, both are solid, but the Skoll comes out on top here. Up next is sensor. Both are rocking the excellent Pixart 3360, and I have no complaints about the implementation on either. It's a tie. On cable, I would give the advantage to the Skoll. It's a bit more flexible compared to the Model D's. The Skolls doesn't glide as smoothly across cloth mouse pads since its textured weave is slightly deeper, but I'm still giving the slight advantage to the Skoll. It's also important to note I've owned the Skoll for much longer than the Model D, which means that it's been out of the box longer, meaning the cable on the Model D just might need more time to loosen up. Only time will tell though. When it comes to feet, the Model D is the clear winner here. The glide to me was significantly smoother. Glorious also gives you the option to modify the feet, so you have that classic Zowie style, one large in the front and one large in the back. This is actually my favorite style of mouse feet, and I never felt the need to make that modification. I probably should have just for the sake of testing purposes, but I was too busy enjoying the mouse as it is. The Skoll, on the other hand, its feet could use some work. I would like to see them maybe raised a millimeter or two. I'm also not a big fan of this big mouse foot in the back. In my experience, the best mouse feet tend to be those that are roughly equal in size towards the front and the rear. There are a couple other things I just wanted to mention briefly. Both mice are plug and play, meaning no software is required, but unlike Zowie, both Glorious and G-Wolves do have software offerings for their respective mice, which is a nice bonus. I personally don't think you should have to choose between one or the other. I also wanted to mention price. At the time of this video, the Model D can be had for just $58 shipped. The Skoll, on the other hand, will run you an additional $11. And while the RGB on the Skoll is by no means unattractive, it can't hold a candle to the Model Ds. Now, if Glorious would just remove the Jesus-looking fella from it, we'd be all set. In my opinion, the clear winner here is the Model D. It just feels better and more premium in the hand. It's also cheaper with better feet and slightly better buttons. While the Skoll does have a slightly better cable and scroll wheel, for me, the major deciding factor will invariably be shape and shell. Decide what's most important to you and go from there. For me, the Skoll is just a bit too fat given how long it is. In the end, I don't think you can really go wrong with either mouse though. The Skoll is quite good, but the Model D is excellent. Anyway guys, that's gonna do it for this video. As always, I hope you found it helpful. Let me know what other mice you'd like to see reviewed or comparisons of. Right now, I have my eyes set on the new, lighter Razer Death Adder, but I'm always open to suggestions. I did notice there were quite a few requests for a Skoll review. Hopefully this video is a satisfactory substitute. I also plan on doing a few more mousepad reviews next, including the AMP 500 and Razer Invicta. So stay tuned for those, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.